Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Joel and Halloween Ends is hitting theaters October 14th. The dying awaited sequel to Halloween Kills has fans excited to see how everything really ends. This once 6-year-old child with the blackest eyes turned babysitter stalker has become a horror icon, slashing the scene for decades since the late 70s. In the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be reviewing each Halloween movie that includes Michael Myers all the way up to Halloween Ends, celebrating his highs and his lows, all hyping us up to the long-awaited sequel to Halloween Kills. Today we're going to be reviewing Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, one of my personal favorites. Like last review, I'm going to be rating the movie out of 10 and ultimately at the end of the review series, ranking all the films from least favorite or worst to favorite or best. So without further ado, let's just play it on Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, 1988. So, starting off, we already have a change that fits for the return of Michael Myers. This monumental character that had been shoved away for many years and to later come back with a change, such as this nice intro sequence right here, which I honestly love that they do later in this series. They don't follow that John Carpenter title intro formula. They reinvent it and do something new. We then follow the events of Halloween 2 at the end where Dr. Loomis sacrifices himself and Michael in the explosion in the hospital. We see him 10 years later in a coma. He's disfigured, he's burned up and whatnot, and he's being transferred. And you know Michael Myers, he suddenly comes out of the coma. You know, he's ready for revenge, and he brutally murders these two nurses that are transporting him to his next facility. We are then introduced to one of the main protagonists, Jaimie Lloyd, who is the daughter of Laurie Strode, whom has an off-screen death in this timeline caused by a car accident. Jaimie is now adopted by her foster parents, very reminiscent of her mother when she got adopted by the Strode family. So this is what gives Michael the motive to go after Jaimie because she is technically blood. Another protagonist is Jaimie's foster sister Rachel. She is probably one of my favorite characters in the series, along with Jaimie. Moving on, we then see Jaimie, who is starting to have nightmares of her Uncle Michael coming to get her.
It's all right, sweetheart. A bad dream. That's not just a nasty old dream.
Flash forward, we see the return of Dr. Loomis, who somehow survived the explosion he and Michael had in Halloween 2. He is concerned that Michael is going to be soon on the loose if they transport him, but little does he know that he's already out for revenge. Dr. Hoffman gets a call that Michael's ambulance crashed and he's nowhere to be found.
Michael could have been thrown from the bus.
I've seen bodies thrown 50, 60 feet from a crash site.
Even if by some miracle Michael is conscious, his muscles will be totally useless. Give the troopers a chance to search.
You're talking about him as if he were a human being. That part of him died years ago.
We then cut to a scene where a mechanic is working on a car at a gas station and we see a bandage up Michael, stab him with a crowbar, and honestly I wouldn't mind if Michael stayed like this for the rest of the film. Dr. Loomis shows up looking for gas but nothing is working, so he looks for help but he comes across the corpse of the dead mechanic. He goes inside the lobby where he sees that everything is out of place. The phones aren't working, everything is a mess, and that's when we see Michael with his iconic outfit. Okay, look, in all honesty, I would love if Michael stayed like this for the rest of the film, but it isn't a Halloween film if we don't have that iconic Michael Myers mask. And, oh, don't worry, I'll touch upon that in a little bit. Dr. Loomis starts to shoot at him and Michael disappears, taking the car of the mechanic. We then see what it's like to live the life of a relative of the boogeyman. Jaimie is constantly being bullied and is probably an outsider just like her mom.
Jaimie, where's your costume? Where's your mask, or are you wearing it? I don't need to wear a stupid costume. That's because every day is Halloween at Jaimie's house, right, Jaimie? Because your uncle's the boogeyman. Boogeyman, boogeyman. Jaimie's uncle's a boogeyman. How come come your mommy didn't make you a costume, Jaimie? How could she? Her mommy's dead. Jamie's mommy's a mummy. Stop it, okay? Stop it!
After Rachel picked her up from school, she and Jaimie go to the local drugstore to buy her a costume, where she sees Michael after he steals a mask from the store.
Jaimie, what happened?
It's nighttime and trick-or-treating is starting. Michael starts to stalk her home and manages to stumble upon a few pictures of his sister, letting him know that this girl he's been stalking this whole time is in fact a relative. We are then introduced to the next scene where Loomis is trying to warn Sheriff Meeker that Michael is on the loose yet again and after Jaimie. And this is where I love Loomis. You can see his character development to where now he is eager to kill Michael Myers, where he's full of rage and wanting to not let Michael cause any more harm to Haddonfield. And this is where the writers of the film get in a plot for me, because this is just a great scene overall. We then cut to Rachel and Jaimie trick-or-treating, and they go up to a house that has Rachel's boyfriend Brady and Kelly are together. Rachel gets so caught up in this that Jaimie leaves with the group of trick-or-treaters. We cut to a scene of a bar where the news turns on, informing the town of Haddonfield that Michael Myers is on the loose. So Earl decides to call the sheriff's office, but there is no answer, and they decide to form a militia. Dr. Loomis and Sheriff Meeker go into Jaimie's home, where they find out that Michael has been there. And now on to one of my favorite kills in the movie. We see an electrician working in the grid, and Michael appears. He thinks that Michael is just some random trick-or-treater and doesn't take him serious. And oh, let me tell you, this kill is brutal. He literally picks him up by his belt and throws him onto the grid. And the way he looks in this scene with this emotionless and expressionless mask makes it so much better. The blue lighting and fog also helps to make this scene 10 times better. Now, I'm not really a huge fan of this mask, and some might disagree with me, but it definitely defines pale expressionless face better than the Kirk 78 mask. Just my opinion though. And now I am going to skip forward a bit and give a brief summary of what next happens. After the grid kill, Rachel is out looking for Jaimie. She finds her and Dr. Loomis gets with them. Michael kills a whole sheriff unit and Earl's militia comes and helps. Kelly and Brady are going at it, and Jaimie and Rachel now have to wait here until they can find Michael. The ending battle happens when Rachel finds the corpse of a dead officer and Kelly. She runs up the stairs to find Jaimie to make sure she's okay. Not being able to find her, Brady comes to help. Jaimie comes out of nowhere crying, and that's when Michael comes up the stairs. This scene in particular really shows the strength of Michael Myers. He gets knocked up in the face with the shotgun, and when Brady goes for a second blow, Michael stops it and crushes his skull. Rachel and Jaimie are running away from Michael, even as far as going on the roof. Rachel falls down and is temporarily out. Jaimie is on the run and Loomis finds her. He takes her to his school, where Michael throws Loomis out of the window. Earl's militia hears the school sirens and go to the school, and Jaimie goes with Earl and Rachel. They start driving out of Haddonfield thinking everything is at peace, but little do they know Michael held on to the truck while it was driving. He hops in the trunk, killing the men one by one. Michael breaks into the car window and tears Earl's neck with his fingers. Rachel takes a hold of the wheel and tries to shake Michael. She succeeds and makes Michael go flying, which also happens later down in the series. But we're not going to get into that. He gets up and she runs him over, making him fly into a graveyard. The police comes and to make sure everything is alright, and that's when Jaimie decides to feel a little empathy towards Michael and walk over to him. She touches his hand, and when it's a good time for Michael to strike, the officers shoot him with heavy shotguns down into a collapsing ditch / mine shaft river area. Now, We move on to a scene where the police bring Rachel and Jaimie home, and that's when Jamie's foster mom decides to make her a bath, but she has other intentions. She gets motivated to try and kill her foster mother with scissors. She comes down the stairs, and Loomis gets PTSD by witnessing this little child murdered just like her uncle. Overall, I think this is another solid film in the franchise. I have such little negatives about this film, and the ones that I do are just overshadowed by the plot of the film. I'd give this film an 8 out of 10, and I definitely think it's worth in your collection. Please let me know how you guys thought of this video. I apologize for the delay. I was very busy this weekend, and I'm going to be back on schedule. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I'm Joel. Peace out.